Hey, and we're here. We did it. Epic Spotlight Live, and it's super cool. We got two Dantes on the show today. Not only just one, but now I got two.
Not one, but two.
Hey, now before we get going, how did you get your name? I know how I got mine. Who named you Dante?
Great question. So my mom actually did, and as a kid, you always ask your parents, how did my name come about? So she told me when she was a little girl, I guess playing on the playground, she said that she always knew that she would have a boy and she would name him Dante, and but she would
Wow,
spell it Donte with the apostrophe at the end. So I
hilarious.
guess yeah. So sometimes women know,
Facts,
yeah,
facts.
it's brought into fruition for sure.
Yeah, strangely enough, my mom named me as well, and so I am Dante with apostrophe, just like you.
Can't forget about
Um,
apostrophe.
Yeah, but it's so hard. So I've always let it ride. Obviously, when I sign my name, I always got that little extra, little oomph to it. But
Right.
I just let it ride on these. But it's so funny. My mom was an English teacher, and she loved
Okay.
Dante's Inferno. So that was one of her favorite stories. And all of a sudden,
Oh.
you know it. I was like, "Am I the devil? What? I mean, what you got me out here for?" But it's all good. It's all
Hey,
good.
I get that reference a lot. Oh, like Dante Inferno. I'm like, hey, that helps you remember it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Hey, whatever floats your boat.
All right.
Whatever floats your boat. Yeah, no, I'm so excited for you guys, Valeria and Dante, to be on here. I think today is so important because we're talking about family protection as well as protection of your future, your wealth, and so this is a hot topic. I feel like, and just wanted to get
Yeah.
some insight from you guys, and really shed some light on what's going on and what are you seeing people out there really struggling with.
100%.
Absolutely.
No, that's a great question. Just starting on looking at my lens in terms of real estate, a lot of families, they're not able to buy homes. They're kind of struggling through that part, and then struggling financially, not being able to make enough to pay the bills. So kind of in the paycheck to paycheck lens as well, and they're always looking for what's my next, what's an opportunity where I can make some additional income and be able to support my family and still be flexible.
Mm,
But not a lot of people know how important it is to protect your income, and how are the ways to protect your income, because the income is what's allowing you to live, to pay the rent, to pay the car note, to pay these things. But why not protect themselves? So that's something that we've seen a lot of people aren't really educated on it. So us being out there, being the word, being able to like just spread the word across a lot of families, a lot of people in events, and also podcasts like this live is going to really educate people and make us more understanding, also listening to what people have to say, like what are questions that people are having that we may be able to answer it as well.
Great takeaway. I love that. On
Hmm.
my end, Dante, I come from a law enforcement background here in South Florida. I was a correction officer.
mhm.
Currently, I'm a detective, and I run the business outside of law enforcement with my wife. So, just from the law enforcement background, even going back from corrections, you know how you can be illiterate and not learning how to read, but you can be financially illiterate too as well. And I noticed that problem even on the inside. Then once I, transferred and went onto the road, I used to go to houses all the time for calls of services, and you really see people struggling just to make ends meet. When it comes to just going into their homes and only seeing the ice cube and the ketchup in the refrigerator, that's all they have in
Mm,
there. The house is just and they have kids. Going to child welfare calls with CPS. And just seeing how families are really struggling. I've seen that on a day-to-day basis. And then, unfortunately, even when we had to respond to death calls, you're seeing a lot of times families can't even afford the basic final expenses. They can't afford to cover the debt that the loved one might have left behind. So I was constantly
Hmm.
seeing that a lot. And I was always wondering, like, like I didn't, sometimes we just get caught up in our own world and our own lifestyle, but you start to notice a pattern that's going on in certain neighborhoods. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of people that just aren't educated. They just don't know. In schools, they just don't teach. They teach you, they go over the basics, but they don't really have a plan put in place on life outside of high school, life outside of having a job and how to make ends meet, how to plan. Everyone always talks about, oh, I want to acquire generational wealth, but how do you do it? If you don't have
Mhm.
someone in your corner, if you didn't grow up with a big brother or a dad or uncle that was passing down that wisdom, even on a female figure that was passing down that wisdom to the family, it's usually a generational curse that you see of families just having to have that burden of not having to make ends meet. So that passion and fire, desire that I seen of responding to calls and seeing so many people struggle, I didn't want to wait for change. I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see in the world. I wanted to be the
Ooh.
one to go out there and help people, because people are always saying, oh, I'm gonna wait till Trump or Obama or somebody get in office and stuff. That's fine. They have their role, but what are you doing for your family and your circle? What are you doing for the people that's around you? So if I can play my part, like Valeria said, going out into podcasts and network and getting my name out there. We just had an MLK summit speaking to 300 kids in Broward County. If I can get that wisdom and inspire just one person to go ahead and be the change that they want in their family and their community, I've done my part. So just that passion of just seeing, just sick and tired of being sick and tired of seeing people struggle and not feeling like they're hopeless. I'm out here. I was obviously from a road patrol standpoint, from a law enforcement standpoint, but now from the business aspect of it, of actually pouring into people and educating them on that.
No, that's awesome. And that's why I wanted you guys on, because I share the same sentiment that you guys do. And, and one of the things I always say is hope is not a strategy.
Mm.
Hope is not a strategy. And
Nope.
a lot of, and what I've seen, just obviously I'm in the Chicagoland area. You guys are down in Florida. So we're seeing two different perspectives, but at the same time, sometimes it's not even a money issue. It's a planning issue. But you can't plan on what you don't know.
Mm.
Right.
And
That's
so,
right.
to your point with the school situation, schools have really let us down. They're educating us on it's almost, but they're not educating us on stuff that's really important. That's really like, that's going to make or break you in your adulthood, right? You get this degree, or you go out of high school, whatever the case is. And then it's like, and then what? Like, they don't teach you how to buy a house. They don't teach you how to maintain credit. What are they teaching you? To be an employee. And
Right.
so, that is a struggle that we all have. It's like, okay, now what do I do? And we don't know, and then it becomes the game of, I call it like the birth lotto. The two things that you can't control in life is when you were born and who you were born to,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and
That's
and
true.
how those two things will make the whole difference, right? If your last name
Right.
was Hilton, we probably not even having a conversation. but
Right.
but the fact that your name is Woodard, now, hey, you and I get to have a conversation. So, that's the struggle that we really have when we enter this world. We don't have that control, and now we have to figure out, where do I fit in? Like, who am I? And then, who knows what I need to know? Is it
Right.
someone in your family? Or if it's not, are you fortunate enough and blessed to have someone tap you on the shoulder? So, obviously, having this podcast, having these conversations are so important to get the information out.
It's
And I'm,
huge.
I'm and I'm just curious, let's start with the origin stories. How did you guys even get tapped and recognize, this is something that I want to do?
I
Val, you
love
want to hit
that.
it off?
Yeah, I'll start it off. So,
Mhm.
we both met in college, right? So we met in college for forensic science of investigations.
Shout out
Our
Kaiser.
goal, shout out to Kaiser, right? My goal was to, be in the crime scene unit, take photographs, DNA analysis, just be part of the solving of any like crime or anything that happens in the law enforcement field. I wanted to be basically their backup, right? To be able to solve these crimes. That was my goal. But what I quickly found out, mind you, we were friends and he was also doing his thing in that field. And I quickly found out that it's extremely hard to get a job in these fields, right? Because it's not in very high demand. It's not like each department, they may have 5 or 10 of these people that are civilians in the crime scene unit. So it was really hard finding a job, number one. And we were competing with people that have PhDs, masters, you name it, doctorate degrees, and they have like biology degrees. They just have us more skill, more time in the game of school. And I didn't want to keep going to school. So from there, I kind of I diverted into different sales positions, bartending, serving, and I quickly found out that I learned a lot about people skills and like communication, but I didn't want that to be my say all be all. I didn't want to be a bartender forever, a server forever, because that's not really where I saw myself. So my mom told me, hey, why don't you get into real estate? You know, because my mom's in real estate. She's been in it for 15 years. And I was like, you know what? Why not? You know, you're an independent contractor. You've worked for yourself. You can help out families, make your own schedule, help people buy, sell, rent. And I thought this would be a really cool career where I'm going to meet a lot of great people. But then I quickly found out that it's not in the highest demand either. There's a lot of real estate agents, but in some cases, most people can't buy homes. So they kind of go into renting homes. So I was doing a little bit of both, but I wanted to, like, I felt like there was like a void. Like I felt like something was missing. Like after a transaction, I didn't, like, there wasn't anything I can do other than, you know, follow up, maybe get referrals from the client, but there was nothing else that I can do after a transaction. So when I found out about this industry, I talked to Dante about it. We came out and we learned about like the financial industry and how we can educate families on like life insurance, retirement, debt settlement, just those topics there. We learned a lot just listening to it. So we're like, man, if we don't know about it, who else is not educated on this? And I understood that it's not our fault that we're not educated in this. We just don't have someone to educate us on it. My mom never educated me on it, but it's not her fault because she wasn't educated on it. So I thought that, well, we can do this together as a couple in business, educate families, our Spanish community, our Black community, all the communities that don't have someone to speak to them about this, that have not learned this, because we're not going to go out there and Google, hey, why do I need life insurance? Hey, how do I plan for retirement? We're not going to do that. We need someone to come out there and like just explain it to you, like dumb it down, not in a rude way, but bring it, like make it simple, easy language that everyone can understand, and make it simple. So I like that. I want to keep doing it out there. Like I want to help out families, just educate everyone that I can come across. So that's kind of my origin story, but yeah, Dante.
I always love hearing her story sitting back as a spectator. Love it.
It's exciting.
So about me, growing up in Broward, pretty much like in South Florida, like any other kid in the city, I was trying to be like Mike. You know, you from Chicago. I was a hooper, and you know, reality set in that hey, I wasn't gonna make it to the league. You know, after ninth grade, my growth spurt stopped. 5'9", 150 pounds. I couldn't dunk. Yeah, I wasn't going to Duke for sure. So I had to figure out what my plan B was going to be. And Broward in South Florida and Miami is very active. You know, you see a lot. It's a melting pot, you know, multi-dimensional of cultures, different people from all walks of life. So even at an early age, I've seen a lot of struggle. I've seen a lot of highs and lows and people struggling, people winning. And I've always, especially on my dad's side of family, let's just say they come from a colorful background. For me, we had a lot of law enforcement interactions in that neighborhood, you know, a lot of street entrepreneurs, so to say, you know, a lot of activity going on. I always had a curious mindset, like, oh, what's going on? Why did this person do this? How did they do it? I always had a curious mindset. So long story short, I took the Kaiser route too, because I always was into criminal justice. But where I come from, you don't want to be police, you know. It's like, you know, my mom's side comes from a Caribbean background. You know, that's like island culture. You know, you work hard, ownership, and you know, my dad's side of the family from, you know, they work hard too, but it's kind of like, you know, get it how you can. You know, kind of a little bit of finesse into it, little things on the side, and then like I said, that environment is not the best or safest area to really be at. So I kind of seen both sides of life. But I always was around my dad's side of the family a lot because my mom actually worked in that area as a librarian. So sometimes I will walk back and forth to my grandma's house to my mom's job, and you see a lot of stuff. You see homelessness. You see homeless people dead on the alleyways. You see police always in and out of different people's houses, whether it's a drug raid they're doing, whether they're doing a warrant. So I always had a curious mindset around law enforcement, but I didn't want to be police because that was just the stigma, like, oh, you're on the other side, you're race trading, how could you, this, that. So I always was kind of scared on what people thought of me. So, but I always was, as Val would say, mature for my age. The people say I got an old soul, right?
Yeah,
so
he's like a grandpa.
So I always hung around because my dad had me my dad had me like at when he was close to 50 years old. So I always hang around his friends growing up, asking them questions about things. I always was wise. I always was listening to old school music, always. So there was a time, like, towards my senior year, I was like, man, this ain't gonna be me. I'm not gonna be sitting on the crate drinking, talking about how things used to be, struggle stories, war stories. Like, you would just see it, people dying from alcohol poisoning, from drug abuse. And I knew that wasn't going to be me. I knew I had to be the one to change the circumstances for my family on that side of the family, so to say. So I took the college route, and I wanted to be a crime scene investigator. So, like Val said, I'm not really a cop. I'm helping them out on the back end. I'm like the support unit. So I met Val in our court class, and we were really good friends. We would do a little flirting here and there, but it was, just college. We were just young, broke college
Strictly
students that
business.
want something better out of our lives. We used to split. We used to split a $20 bill for lunch, and that would stretch us for like 3 days, 4 days. We didn't have it. So, long story short, what they tell us in high school, hey, go to college afterwards, and once you get the
Yeah.
degree, you can get a job. That's the American dream, right? So I graduate, and I apply everywhere, Dante. I'm talking about from Pensacola all the way to Key West. I applied everywhere in
Wow.
Florida, and everybody denied me because they said, "Hey, you don't have job experience. We want somebody who's prior law enforcement, who has prior crime scene experience, or somebody with a PhD or a doctorate degree." And Dante, I wasn't the person that wanted to go to school. I was not a school person. I wanted to play sports. I did not. School wasn't hard for me. I just didn't see no interest in it because, like I said, I was hanging out with guys that was twice my age and they were telling me how life really was outside in the real world
Mm.
as a worker. So I knew how, I'm learning about trigonometry and all that stuff, and algebra and arts and craft. I didn't care about it because I knew how the world really worked. So I was like, man, I can't get a job anywhere. Anywhere I apply, I get denied. What was the whole point of going to school? I thought once you get the degree, you get the job. Long story short, I had a good friend of mine, who actually grew up with my mom. He was a high-ranking official in a law enforcement agency that I work out of, and he was the one to kind of sit me down and kind of tell me, "Hey, if you want to get your foot in the door, I suggest you take the sworn route." Because and what you want to do, you're never going to get it unless you get a PhD. You're competing against, like Val said, people that already have experience, people that have high degrees. And if you take the law enforcement route, all you need is a GED or a high school diploma. Obviously, you got to pass the police academy. So I was like, man, I don't know, I'm from Broward, we don't really do that and stuff, like all this and that. What my friends go think. And he looked at me, he was like, why are you worried about people who are broke, people with a small mindset, scarcity mindset? Why are you worrying about their opinions? What are they doing with their lives? You're worrying about people that aren't never going to go anywhere in life. If you want to change the circumstances of your life and your family's life, you need to level up and make that decision, and you need to grow up. So it hit me then. It's kind of like you ever had like a paradigm shift? That was like hit
Sure.
me at that moment. I was like, man, he's kind of right, man. Like everybody in my like that I'm around in my surroundings and stuff never really amounted to anything, So why not be me? So I told him, like, you know what, you're right. So he said, what do I want to do? Do I want to take the corrections route, or do I want to take the law enforcement route? And I told him, I think I want to start off in the jail first. He looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, why would you do that? He was like, you can go you can take the road route. You're going to be in there with the demons, the devils, these
Right.
guys have committed the worst of the worst. And I was like, yeah, but if I'm already going to be out on the road, like, let me mature, let me get my mindset right. I don't want to have to worry, like, I'm too young to worry about a gun and a taser and all that and stuff. Let me learn how to talk to people and be humble first. And that was the best decision I can ever make. Well, I started off there, and I worked with all types of inmates, the juveniles that are being charged as adults, females, mental illness, like the people that are just like, gone. You ever seen a homeless person on the side of the street, their mind just gone, they're in a whole other
Yeah.
universe? I dealt with all that. I worked in the psych ward in the jail, high custody, profile inmates, gang leaders, you name it, the worst of the worst. People that are already serving life and coming back to the county to reappeal on their court cases. I learned it and seen it all, and I really learned how to have an interpersonal skills and how to talk to people and be humble, and that helped resonate when I went to the out to the road. Went back to the academy during COVID, got assigned out on the road, and I really started learning. But then I started seeing life from a different lens. Like I mentioned, people are really struggling going inside people's homes. It's infested with roaches and rats and stuff. And they got kids. They have kids in there. They don't have a dollar to their name. The mental illness, the drug abuse, having to save multiple lives. You can't save everybody, having people die in front of you. Just seeing the trauma and stuff. And then you got to forget about that, Dante. Then go handle the next call because calls
Yeah.
are holding. So it's like just it's always you're always on a go. So I seen that grind, and the opportunity presented itself, and I was able to put in to become a detective. And I became one of the youngest detectives in my agency at 25 years old. and I've been a detective for the last 3 years. And that's a whole different lens because now you're going to high profile stuff now you're coming after the fact. So most of the times when I'm responding to stuff, unfortunately, is due to someone passing away, getting shot, getting killed, killing themselves, stepping in front of a bright line train, you name it. So now that humbles you to see, man, like people really be going through battles in their head that only they know. And why do they think that way? I got to figure it out, right? But at the same time, I was thinking on a deeper lens on, man, people are really struggling financially. And that's probably the
Sure.
reason why they commit crimes and why they feel like there's no hope and why they got to kill themselves or why they got to overdose off these drugs because they're so stressed and they have, it's like they put themselves in a chokehold because they feel like there's no outlet. Well, I always said to myself, what if they were educated? What if they knew there was a better way? You know, what if someone put them on game on learning about different strategies and ways on how they can financially plan for their future? A lot of people just don't. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what it was going to be in. So
Sure.
outside of it, because I would speak to a lot of guys, old sergeants of mine, old colleagues of mine, and they would be showing me, oh, hey, I just went on this boating trip. I'm like, oh, nice. Was that your friend's boat? No, that's my boat. I'm like, okay. Like, you make as much as I make. What do you do? You slinging kilos or something? What do you do? Oh, I have my own business. Oh, I'm a real estate agent. You know, oh, this person showing me his house. He got about like 5 acres. I'm like, what are you doing? We getting paid the same. Oh, I have my own business. Oh, I do mold remediation. I do this. I do a car washing business. So I'm noticing all the cops that have an entrepreneurship mindset outside of policing, they are, well, we don't know how they really are, behind the scenes, but for the most part, they seem to be financially well, and they have other, they can have a life that's better than people that are chasing that overtime, having to work details, living in their police cars, working 7 days a week, and that stress. People that have learned to leverage making money multiple different ways in a diverse way, they've always had a peace of mind to their families of being able to travel, live the life that they want, having to work overtime as they please, not being forced to live at their overtime means, because you're always taught to live below it. But you have guys working 7 days a week, working 90 hours plus hours because they have no choice. High mortgage, high cars, and payments and stuff. So I always was telling Val, man, I need to be an entrepreneur. We're from the South, we hustling, but we need to figure out what we want to do. So I actually started off having a pressure washing business, and that was a very oversaturated business. You think real estate is? Man, everybody in the street and that knows somebody that has a pressure washing business in Florida. So I was competing against people that were doing things like, shady for a cheaper price. I'm trying to do things the right way because I got to pay for business insurance. I got to pay for my employees. I got a van. I got to pay for chemicals and supplies. I can't wash somebody's house for $20. Well, Jorge down the street, he'll do it for $20. So who are they going to pick? They're going to
Right.
pick him. So business, it was hard to get business. Long story short, that didn't work out. And now I was like, man, I had a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I need vengeance. I need a revenge. I need to do something to get back on my feet because I know I was meant to be an entrepreneur. I was thinking of going the real estate route. Val and her mother-in-law are in the real estate business. I thought I was going to be a mortgage loan officer. It didn't really correlate well with my schedule as a detective. So I was like, man, what could it be? And long story short, about a year and a half ago, we had like a New Year's resolution where we said, we're going to challenge ourselves to be the most uncomfortable as possible. We're too comfortable right now. The people that we hang with, we do the same thing. We just drink, we hang out, we talk about how miserable is your job? Okay, how miserable is your job? And we kind of just stress bomb it. And it's like, okay, what's the solution? What are we doing to level up our lives? We just staying stagnant. We just moving linear. And I was cool making, I was making good money, but I didn't feel fulfilled. I felt like, hey, there was more to make out of our lives while we're young, while we're healthy. We don't have kids right now. This is the time we should really be applying pressure. So long story short, we had to cut off some friends, some people that we felt was kind of like being dead weight, wasn't aligning to our vision. We started reading. We started going to a lot of networking events. Long story short, we met a business partner who introduced us to the business. And my first time actually sitting down in the orientation and learning and seeing what it's about, and I was like, man, like, life insurance, where I come from, we used to be scared of that. Like we wouldn't even open the door for Jehovah Witness. Jehovah Witness come like, oh, nobody open up the door, all right? So we don't open up the door. We don't trust nobody. We paranoid. Everybody is out to get us. It's always the man. It's always the system. Someone always out to get us. So where I come from, we talking about some life insurance. I'm running like, this is a scam. So, but actually learning like how it can work, and we always talk about, oh, I want to accumulate generational wealth for my family, generational wealth. Okay, but how are we going to do it? I now learned that you can do that through life insurance. You can do that through the financial planning. Debt. A lot of people don't know how to handle debt. They let debt consume them and put them in a chokehold. And it's cool to get that credit card, that Capital One, but that fine print that say that 28% interest rate. People don't notice that, and that's the killer right there. And people don't know how to get out of that burden, and it just piles on and piles on. and they got to file for bankruptcy, their credit gets shot, etc. So learning that I can help people through this, I'm like, wait, I already serve and protect my community already through law enforcement. I can make money by actually being purposeful and helping people get out of their situation. Them making money, them protecting their money,
Yeah.
they're building money. I'm all in. I was all in. I'm like, I'm not, because to me, I always go by mission over commission. If you helping somebody, the money go come regardless. If you learn how
Facts.
to solve problems and help
Yeah.
people, you're always going to be making money. So I don't worry about the money. If I want to make money, I can work overtime in details. So, but helping people get out of these situations, saying, hey, because of you, Dante and Val, I'm no longer in debt. Because of you, my retirement is a peace of mind. I don't have to worry about going back to work. Because of you, I now have generational wealth that I can give back to my grandkids, my kids. I serve my mission. So that's what fires me up. So the goal is to, do my thing, grow and scale our business with my wife, and then eventually do the law enforcement part-time, do the business more full-time. Because there's nothing like
Yeah.
being your own boss. There's nothing like having time work for you instead of you chasing after time. And there's nothing like helping people and getting them out of their situation. So that's a little bit about my story, man. It's
100%.
something I'm very passionate about sharing always. And it's just funny because, like, if you would have told us this in Kaiser that we would even be together and that we would be running a business, we would have laughed and thought you was was doing a
Crazy.
prank on us. So time truly flies, brother.
No, that's awesome, man. I mean, that's a great story, and you hit so many things that no, it's just awesome. Both of you guys being young, hungry, and wanting more out of life. That's what I really take. I mean, there's so many people out there that are really walking dead. They are the
Right,
walking dead, because they just is as good as it gets. It's almost like Peter Pan, the story of just being a
Mm,
younger boy at an older age, and
right,
that's kind of taken out of people once they go into adulthood, where it's like, no, this is
right,
what it is as good as it gets. And that
right.
mindset, really just, they become the walking dead. So, kudos to both of you guys to really have a vision, and the fact that you love helping people and you found a way to help people through financial services, setting up these plans. That's so huge. I think of a guy, and I want you to look him up, Dante. His name's Jamal Elmore. Jamal Elmore, I believe his name.
I
He's
didn't
a
know.
9 to 5 millionaire, and he's a
Okay.
law enforcement guy that he was doing the law enforcement. And then, but he's like, man, there's just got to be more out of life. I don't want to be contrapped into this, into this work flow. So he ended up starting to buy real estate and flip homes. And so now he's built himself out where he doesn't need a job anymore. He got
Wow,
himself out,
beautiful.
and that's just one of those things. Like sometimes these jobs, are the handcuffs to what you
mm,
really are, who you want to be, and all that stuff. So, to be able to have that goal to build a business that can take you out of the job, out of that job. Sometimes they call it the journey of the broke, whatever.
yeah.
Facts.
It's one of those things. If you can, because all the successful people, generally speaking, are self-employed, in
Yes.
some
Yes.
shape, way, or form, or they have their own business. So kudos to you, man. So if you guys can continue to build it and grow it. But let's talk, and let's give them a little bit of, just what does smart planning look like? What are things they should be doing or expecting to do with you guys or your team when they sit down? What is smart planning?
I can go ahead and start on my end.
Of
Sure.
course.
So what we like to look at is what is the outcome? What is the goal? So is it the goal to set up for retirement? How does that look like? It's going to depend on the person. Is the goal to leave back something for their family? Is it the goal to save for a house, to save for to buy a car? What is to fund for a nursing home? What is the goal essentially, so that we can kind of like work backwards from there? And it's important to know, do they have kids? Are they married? Do they have people that rely on them financially? And we like to do something called like the insurability, like to find out their insurability with a financial analysis. So we look at what debt do they have, personal debt, credit card debt, car note, things of that nature, mortgage, how much are they paying for a mortgage monthly, how much do they owe, the income, roughly what's the income per year, and if something were to happen to them, how many years of income will they want to leave behind to their family. So if it's like you're married, you have kids, how many years do you want your wife, for example, and kids want to that they can live without you? How many more years of income so that they don't have to stress about going out there finding a second job to pay for the mortgage, the bills, so on and so forth. So rule of thumb, 5 to 10 years people like to leave behind to their family. And then also like school for the kids. Do you want the kids to go to private school? Do you want to pay for their school, or do you want them to get a scholarship? So we kind of look at that, and then we add everything up, and then that'll be essentially their insurable need. How much coverage they would need will be determined on these numbers that we grab, like that we calculate for them. Now, there's different types of plans. There's for depending on the amount, we look at what option will be the most affordable for them. And then we work with about 25 different companies. So we look at which company will serve them best based on their needs. And also finding out what type of retirement do they currently have. That's extremely important. A lot of people, they may just have savings in the bank account. Maybe they have a 401k from a past job they haven't touched and they don't even know where the money is. Maybe they have an IRA account. We want to find out where do they have their savings, and are they currently happy with the growth for their retirement? How much is it growing year to year? Are you losing money in the market? That's something some people, believe it or not, I talk to some people, they're like, look, I have an IRA account, but I haven't looked at it in 5 years. Like, I'm scared to look at it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, you have to be looking at it every month. Like, this is like every month you want to look at it, at least not every day, because then you're going to go crazy, but at least once a month you want to look at where your savings, like how it is. And at the end of the day, when you're 30, 20, 30, 40, maybe you're okay with being a little risky, a little losing money in the market. But when you're in your 60s, 70s, you want to retire essentially that the next 10 years or in that year. Do you want to be down on the market? Do you want your money to be 30-40% less than the last year, for example? Or do you want to be over 30-40%? So that's something that kind of scares people. When I ask this question to my clients, they're usually like, hey, I want to be up 40%. And I'm like, well, can you predict the market in the next 10, 20 years? Do you know how it's going to be, if you're going to be at the top or at the bottom? No. But you can have your money in a risky IRA account, 401k. I'm not saying don't have it there, but how much money are you willing not to lose? Like, how much money do you want protected no matter what? Then that's something we look at with them, and we roll it over into a fixed index annuity where it's completely protected. You have high growth and you have income for life you cannot live. So we kind of do like the strategy. It's the 100 rule of 100. We see based on how old they are, minus 100, a certain amount you want to keep in something very conservative and safe, like a fixed index annuity. And then the other you can keep in something risky. So that's another way we plan.
So if I was, let's just say I'm 50 years old, 50% of my money should be in something secured, and then 50% should be invested in something kind of, a little bit more risky. I like
that's
that.
the rule
I like
of thumb.
that concept.
But we like to kind of understand what's the risk factor, because some people, maybe they're 50-50, right? You can put 50, but they're like, listen, I don't like 100%. Like, I only want to risk 30%. The rest, I want it completely safe. So it depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I definitely agree. It always depends down on the client. They're all different. And I like what Val said about knowing your insurable need. That is very important because a lot of people think like, oh, okay, I only need 50,000 in coverage. And then, their mortgage is 300,000, their credit card bill is 10,000, they have they have car bills that they haven't paid off the car yet. They have young kids, and life is unpredictable. You hear from me first. People do not, we all have an expiration date. We don't know when it is. And you don't want to put that burden on your family. And if you have all those things I just mentioned, who's going to be the responsibility? If you're married, it's going to go to the spouse. If the spouse can't afford it, unfortunately, that's why you see a lot of things like GoFundMe. You see that going up. You see people trying to, having to take out a loan, use more credit card to get in debt, and that's just putting down a family burden that people don't feel like they can ever get out of. And a lot of times GoFundMe, they don't hit their mark on their goal that they're trying to do. If it's not a story that went viral, or if it's not a family member that can really help out, most of the time they don't get paid out. But the GoFundMe people do. GoFundMe still takes their cut and they still get their profit. So we try to help people have that peace of mind, like Val said, so that they're able to live at least 5 to 10 years. If any event, something happens, that loved one who was passed down to, they can be able to still live, because knowing your insurable need is very important. And we try to, it's not about what we feel is good. It's letting them know overall, hey, based on what we said, on your debt, your income, the mortgage, if you have young kids, or you want to go focus on getting a business one day for them, or going back to school for education, this is your insurable need. And a lot of people don't know that, like, oh wow, like I actually need, I thought it was 50,000, I actually need 1 million in coverage. I didn't know. And it's putting them, and now that gives them that peace of mind, that education that they didn't know. I'm a big proponent on that, because a lot of times, like I told you, in my law enforcement background, I would respond to calls, death investigations, and people would say, I can't even afford a funeral. I can't even afford a cremation. How am I supposed to afford this? I can't afford this house. I can't. What am I supposed to do, Dep? And I'm saying, all I can do is give them a case card. Dante said, here, call this number, and that's it. God bless you.
Right.
That family is screwed.
Right.
There's no hope for them. They don't, it's, so I've seen that so many times. So just imagine, just from what I've seen in Broward, imagine what's going on around the country.
Sure.
So educating people on that is very important.
I have a stat here. It said only 50% of U.S. households have life insurance, and many are underinsured.
Right.
100%.
And so
that hits on what we just talked about. A lot of people, I have insurance, I'm good. You only have 100,000, 200,000, but your insurable need is maybe 800,000 to 1 million.
Correct.
You need more. You're underinsured. Sure, you got 100,000, but you still owe 300,000 on your mortgage. So now what? So that underinsured is something that we see a lot, even with clients that, I have a policy, can I look into it? And then they don't know that they're being underinsured. Some people don't even know that they have a term, thinking that they have a permanent policy. So we love just sitting down with people, whether you don't have it or you have it. It's just the education that we do with our consultation that's so impactful to us.
Yeah, awesome. And on the opportunity side, Dante, you mentioned, okay, so about 50% are not insured or underinsured. Now, on the opportunity side, for one agent, we have about 300 families to help. So there's a gap between that. That's why a lot of people are not insured, is because they may not have someone to educate them on that. Now, a lot of people don't believe in insurance. Maybe that's another reason why. When I talk to people, I've talked to really young people as well, and they're like, we don't need insurance until we're 60 years old. Well, by the time you're 60, it's going to be super expensive. What if you don't have, what if you can't even qualify because of your health?
Sure.
And people say, well, we don't need it. It's not mandatory. But okay, so this is a question I like to ask people, which it kind of makes their mind move, right? Number one, okay, are you guaranteed to get into a car accident?
No.
Answer is truly no. We don't know if we're going to get into an accident, right?
Right.
But are we mandatory? Do we have to have car insurance? Is it mandatory? Yes, it's mandatory. Now, are we guaranteed to die? People, when I ask this, they're like, "Oh my God, you're going you're crazy." Yes, it's true. I'm morbid. It's morbid, but it's true. Yeah, we're guaranteed to die 100%. So why don't we have life insurance? Why don't we insure the main person paying for the car, paying for the house, paying for the school, paying for the Gucci bag, paying for all these things? Why don't we insure the main person that is providing the income? That's income protection.
Facts.
We're guaranteed to pass. Why not secure ourselves and teach that to our kids, to our families, and insure our family? And then guess what? Our kids are going to do the same. They're going to insure their family. And guess what? You keep passing down generational wealth to your family, because that's the only thing that's guaranteed. I can't guarantee anything else other than I will pass.
If everybody in our family, if we all had a policy and we were doing a responsible thing as an adult, and every time a loved one passed away and money was being brought back into the family, we wouldn't be crying at funerals. The funerals would be a celebration. It'll be like the club, because people will understand, wow, this money for that my uncle, my grandfather passed down, that money's going back into the family, that we now don't have to worry about taking out a loan, using our credit card. Now the option of having to go to school or going to being a worker is now an option now that they can choose now for their own peace of mind now, and now they can go to business entrepreneur route because money has been invested and brought down, instead of already going to school. As soon as you go to college, you step foot on campus day one, you're already in debt. And you have to go to school after you graduate and hope that one day you could pay off that debt through that job. That's going to take time. Why not? That's cool. That's the option you want to take. Like, I'm doing my career that I went to school for. But a lot of people go to school and they got a degree that they're not even utilizing. A lot of people go to school and they drop out. A lot of people only went to school because that's what they were told to do. They didn't even want to go, you know. So if they have the option to be their own entrepreneur, to go to go to trade school and learn a skill set, they can learn how to do the right, pass down the real foundation of acquiring generational wealth. More people will want to do it, being educated about doing that. So I love what Val said about the opportunity side and how you hit on the side, Dante, about 50% of being insured. So imagine about the other 50%, that aren't. Imagine how big that is, how many people there are in the country. So it's very powerful that, people get educated and know about the generational. We talk about because people always talk about generational wealth. This is true generational wealth. Like me personally having 2 policies. I have 2 policies myself. It's 1.2 collectively together. That's 1.2 that's passed down after I pass away to my family.
It's tax-free, probate-free. So the money's not going to be in the court fighting to see who's going to get it.
They didn't have to clock in, work overtime, or do anything crazy. As soon as I pass away, my family instantly they become millionaires. That's generational wealth. That's the true definition of generational wealth. I don't have to worry about robbing, killing nobody. Just being a responsible adult, like how people are paying for a Starbucks, Netflix subscription. You paying your monthly investment on yourself. Like Val said, you are the biggest investment of yourself. That is the generational wealth right there. So just educating more people to bring that into their community, into their families. Like I said, we will be celebrating, And on the other side of that, we always talk about life insurance on the death side of it. What about when you're alive and you get sick or you get hurt? We don't talk about that too. And policies having the living benefit, being able to take out the lump sum from that death benefit to help out with anything chronic, critical, or terminal, or something happens to you. Because a lot of times you see GoFundMe too. Why? Somebody got sick. Somebody needs money for surgery, medical bill, health care. That's where life insurance helps out with that too while you're alive. So imagine you being able to take out that money from that 1.2 million to help out with anything. You wouldn't need to worry about GoFundMe at that point. So people always talk about, when you die, but what about when you're alive too as well? So I love that. So it's just the educational aspect of it. But wait, Dante, there's more. So we talked about the death aspect. We talked. See, now you got me fired up. I'm talking very passionate.
Come on with it.
Come on now.
You talk about the death coverage, right? When you pass away, money getting back into your community. We talk about the living benefit if something happens to you as well, right? But just like how banks are, you also have a cash savings component in your policies as well. We're able to save money because what is the banks doing with our money? What are they doing with them usually?
They're lending.
They're investing in and they're loaning it to someone else to do it, right? So why not you be your own bank, right? And be able to invest in that. And that money is growing like on steroids in your personal policy account that you're able to take out and use for what you want to use it for. A house, a business, a car, traveling is your money. So we always been taught, just put your money in the bank because that's how we've been taught.
And it grows what? 0.001%.
0.001. And
you might as well put it into something safe. You don't lose $1, but it grows with the market. That's what we have with the cash value and the policies.
Right, as well. So I call it, the triple threat. Because you can't, when it comes to living benefits, when it comes to the death benefit, when it comes to the cash value, you can't go wrong with policies like that. That's the true peace of mind. That's the true success to it.
It's huge. Let me get before we've been going. Let me get what's your contact information for you guys? So anyone out there that needs to talk to the Woodards, Valeria and Dante, how did they get a hold of you guys?
So I'll start with my Instagram. It's Valeria Woodard. So Valeria Woodard, Woodard, strategist. And that's the Instagram name. Now Dante's is at DON Woods, WOODZ _.
Yep.
Now I don't know if we can give like other contact information, but my business phone number is 786-340-5032. Now, in terms of life insurance, retirement, debt settlement, and also on the opportunity side, we're able to insure people all over the United States and all the states. So we're able to help families in different states. And plus we have offices in all the states as well, even Puerto Rico. So if you're listening from Puerto Rico, we can also insure you from there.
Yep.
So we're able to do non-fee based consultations. So our consultations, they're free. We don't charge a penny to any of our clients. When we do get paid is when we're able to solve someone's problem, and then the insurance company, they pay us.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I get that in. We got several questions here, so I'm going to start
Okay, awesome.
answering these questions. So I appreciate it. We got about 476 people listening to us. So
Absolutely.
thank you everyone that's listening on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So let's get some of these questions answered.
Absolutely.
Jack says, "What's the first step someone should take towards smart financial planning?"
I love
Absolutely.
that.
I'll answer that, Jack. Great
Yeah.
question. So you got to know what your main goals are. Is it more about cash saving? Is it more about protection? In the event, like if something happens to you, you want something passed down. It all depends on, are you in debt? We have a lot of people that are, still having to pay off credit card loans and stuff like that. It's knowing what do you have, right? What Val was saying, where you talk about your insurable need, because everybody's different from everybody else, right? You know what's tailored to you. So I could be more about like, hey, I just want a high coverage. I just want $1 million in coverage in the event something happened to me, I was to pass away. But somebody else like Val could be like, hey, I care about the cash savings component of it
Mhm.
because I'm tired of the bank taking my money. I want to grow my money exponentially. So hers could be more towards that. So everything, that's the main stuff. And then what are you comfortable with being able to pay in the event? The world can be falling, it could be a pandemic, but you're going to pay that monthly investment on time because you don't want to invest in something that's got you in a chokehold and it's too expensive. So that's what I would say too as well. I don't know if Val, you want
Yeah.
to chime in.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the first step is writing down like what are your financial goals in the next year? Like what is your financial goals in the next year and the next 5 years and the next 10 years? And just being able to get out of your comfort zone and like contact someone that has the expertise and that can sit down with you and go over, okay, like, how much are you making per year? Who relies on you?
Yeah.
Does your family rely
Dependent.
on you financially? If something were to happen to you, how many family members will take a hit financially? Just going over those things as well, and then just figuring out what will be the best executions, like starting today, like what will be your best execution, so that if something were to happen, you're completely protected. And the moment you do get approved with a policy, for example, in life insurance, from that day on, you're insured. So if anything happens the next day or the following week, you will be completely protected. So it's making the first step, which is uncomfortable, is talking to someone about it and just figuring out what's your best move.
Awesome. All right, next question in is Clayton. How can entrepreneurs protect family wealth during uncertain markets?
Absolutely. So that's what life insurance really is about. So when you think about car insurance, why do we get car insurance? In the event if we were to get in an accident, we're covered by the insurance company. Why do we have homeowners insurance? If our house burns down, if something happens in the event, we're covered up to a certain amount, right? They have to do their due diligence to see, right? It's the same thing. The biggest expense that you can have is yourself, right? The biggest investment you can have is the one on yourself. So when it comes to the how you can protect your wealth, right? That's what life insurance is about. The insurance company takes on the risk, but your money is growing, especially when we talk about the cash. We talk about from an entrepreneur sense on how that money is being protected. On a cash value within a policy, it grows with the market, right? But what happens when the market goes down? What happens if Trump said something, right? Oh, we're going to war with all these different type of countries, right? But usually, if I had a 401k or Roth IRA or I'm on Robinhood, I'm trading. If the market is down, my account's going down. Whereas in life insurance, the insurance company is taking on that risk. So when we're in a crisis or when the market is down, your account is still moving linear. But when it's going up, when the market is going up, you take on that gains of it. So that's what life insurance, and especially with the providers that we represent, it helps out with that because we know the market. We don't deal with anything that's variable. We don't deal with variable accounts because we know the market could be uncertainty. And I always say the market is a young person's game. If you're young, you might be fine with playing that risk and because that there's gains. People love investing because of the high gains. But what happens when the market is down? That's cool if you're young and you could take on that. But what if you're in your 50s and your 60s? You're not trying to lose any money. You're trying to, and there might be people young out there. There might be people 18, 20 that say, I don't care if I'm 18 or 20. I don't want to lose no money. I don't like losing no money at all. So it don't matter your age, really. If you don't like losing money, then you're usually not going to be in stock investing. But through the life insurance policies, they take on that risk for you. They take on that hit. That's the part of an insurance company, right? But they take on that gain as well. So if you want to grow and protect their money, you put your money in a cash value like that's going to grow over time way faster than it would in a bank, in a traditional bank, and a checking and savings account.
100%. And I wanted to add, I mean, an entrepreneur, you don't have a 401k. So how are you saving for retirement, right? So it's keeping that in mind with the policy that he's referring to, Dante's referring to, is the IUL, which is an Index Universal Life policy. Now, with this policy, we represent multiple companies for this type of policy. You have the death benefit, you have the living benefits, but you also have the cash value, where the cash value in that account is growing up to like 12%, and you have no risk. So as an entrepreneur, thinking about retirement, thinking about protecting your family, you have all that in the IUL 100%. Like, so that's something that I would look into. You're an entrepreneur and you want to protect your wealth in the uncertain markets. You know how that is. I would get an IUL right away.
Awesome. All right, next one here. Danny, is smart planning more about mindset or systems? Ooh, that's good.
Oh, I love this question. I want to start it off, and I know you're going to end it, Dante, on that one. It looks so good. So, mindset or systems? Can you teach someone a mindset, or can you teach someone systems? You can teach someone systems 100%, but you can't teach the mindset. So you first have to like target the mindset. And what is that? Reading, mentorship, coaching, podcast. It's a lot of audios, reading, and really tapping into your mindset of where you want to be. If you want to be a millionaire, you're not going to listen to Netflix shows at night. You're going to listen to a lot of audiobooks on millionaire mindsets. So I would say 100%. Smart planning starts with the mindset. You have the mindset like, okay, this is my goal. I want to save this amount. I want to protect my family. I want to protect my business. You're a business owner. You got to protect your business as well. And then from them having that mindset, then you can establish systems. What are the systems that are going to protect your wealth? How are you planning what's your budget? How are you budgeting? How are you protecting your finances? Are you doing at the end of the year, are you doing financial overview, right? Of how much you've been spending, how much you've been saving, what are your goals for the next 3 months, the next 6 months with the system. And we're very big on systems, but if you don't have the right mindset, the systems are going to fall through in the 1 week. You're going to forget about everything because you don't have the right mindset.
All right. It goes, I'm from Florida, so mindset and system, it's like salsa dancing. They go hand in hand. With the right mindset, you can, with the wrong mindset, you could be making a lot of money and just be throwing it away, on foolishness, right? You can have no money, right? But just learning, having that right mindset over time, you can acquire that generational wealth. So mindset is very important. People always, when it comes to the gym, how do you get in shape? How do you, eat right? It's about the mindset. The mind is so strong, and it takes over everything else when it comes to that. And systems. Just to throw this out there, I recommend everybody that's listening, if you haven't watched the movie The Founder, based on the McDonald's founder, it really talks about systems, right? Don't try to reinvent the wheel. There's already systems already put in place. So knowing what your financial analysis is, right? Knowing what your budget is, on knowing, okay, hey, this is how much I have in debt, or this is how much I want to save. This is how much, in any event if something happens, I can take out this. You have to have a system put in place. So that's what has the maturity in you, knowing that, hey, I can't just be out here just splurging and making all this money. I have a family to look after, or I have a common goal. I might want to get a house soon. I might want to get a car. I might want to travel. I might want to have a family compound one day. So that requires your mindset to be that requires your mindset to be intact, and that requires you to follow a system. So like what we said when we sit down with a client, it's not just, hey, you're young, bro, I think you should pay $300 a month. And no, what's your insurable need? Are you in debt? What are your goals? Or are you healthy? All these things. It's a system that we go off of. It's not what we want to do. It's not about the commission we want to make. It's everything is tailored to the client. It's a system. It's not a wheel that we're trying to reinvent. So that's why systems are so important. Same thing when it comes to you budgeting, you knowing what, what your financial situation is for you, tailored to your needs. So they go hand in hand, brother, for sure. But everybody check out the founder if you haven't already,
Great. Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc. I love
Ray
it.
Kroc.
System is interesting. It's an acronym. Save yourself time, energy, and money.
Yep.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Develop a system. All right, here we go. Anita, what mistakes do you see most entrepreneurs making with money?
Oh, oh yes, I like this one. Well, one that I've seen a lot is that once you start, like in the beginning, maybe you're not making so much in the beginning, but you keep working, you keep going hard. But once you start making that little bit of money that you've been praying for, they kind of live like they live above their means. So they start like splurging, they start buying, the car, the house, and when with an entrepreneur, you understand that some months may be going really well, you're making a lot of money, but some months you maybe need to reinvent yourself, read, self-develop to gain more money as well. So I would say 100% not managing the money well when they are making the amount that they want to make as well. That's one big thing that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs that we sit down with. Some months are great, some months are not, but we need to live below our means and being able to have different avenues where you're putting your money as well, like the savings. Don't put all your savings in the bank. Don't put all your savings into a Roth IRA. You want to have multiple ways that you're saving and also having multiple streams of income, because being an entrepreneur with just one way of making money, it's very uncertainty. It's like having just one job. It's the same thing. It's just more dangerous, because if that month that you're entrepreneur, maybe you're selling books or you're selling, you're selling real estate. That month you're not doing well. Guess what? The next month, you're not sure how it's going to go. So you got to start saving from the minute you start any business and live below your means. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Can smart planning really work even with irregular income?
Absolutely. All it takes is, sitting down and knowing yourself, what is your budget? How much do you make? If it's like, you're not bringing in a lot of money, there's still affordable plans out there for you. The main thing is just starting. Many people they get in their head and think that there's no way from their background or their circumstances, how they were raised. But when you sit down and see there's affordable plans out there, it's just like I said, that's where the mindset comes in. If you think that you're never going to succeed or you're never going to find a way, then that's going to be your reality. Saying that, hey, I shall, and I can overcome the situation. It all steps out one step at a time. And usually irregular income usually comes from debt. It usually comes from living above your means, not having everything put in place. Do you have all your bills organized? Do you know when your bills are going to be taken out of your account? Do you know how much money you're making? Right? And then finding ways. So what's the solution? People know not to come to me with on a personal life with problems, because I'm gonna give you a solution, and you may not like how I'm saying it. So you have an irregular income, right? What are we doing to get out of them circumstances so it's not irregular anymore? What plans are we doing to implement that? How are we gaining more income? How was last year for a lot of folks in here? Was it the year that you wanted it to be? Okay, so what are we gonna do this year? We gonna do the same thing that didn't work for us? So it's just finding a way now, and reading. Going to self-developing, going to seminars, educating yourself, getting yourself out of the mindset of being around people that are winning, that are succeeding, hearing your success story, saying, oh, dang, Dante, that's how he's doing in Chicago. He grew up like that. He made it out. My situation was nothing compared to his. If he can do it, I can do it. So that type of thing. But yes, planning can absolutely work as well, even with someone with a regular income.
No, 100%, because are we going to pay our phone bills every month? 100%. We're going to pay our bills. We're going to pay the phone bill. We're going to pay for our health insurance. We're going to pay for our car note. So having irregular income is not going to stop you from paying those things. You just got to make more money. You just got to work a little harder, because especially if you're commission based, every month it's like you're working hard and smart to be able to not only make enough to pay your bills, but you want to oversee that. Like you want it to be much more so that you can save for the next month, because it may be a little irregular. So that's what I
Right.
would say.
If I told you that I had a Ferrari outside, it'll be yours for $300. You will find a way to get that 300.
100%. That's a good one.
And that's so important too, because I think so many times when we have these kind of talks, the Susie Ormans, the Dave Ramsey of the world, but mainly from a sports analogy, they play defense. It's always
Mm,
cut back, cut back, cut back, don't spend.
mhm,
But sometimes that's not, if that's not you, that's curtailing your lifestyle and how you want to live. Like if you want to have the little puppy, or if you want to have the Ferrari, then you got to think offensive. You just got to make more
mm.
money, and that's just what
Yeah.
it is. And
Right.
so you have to
Simple as
plan
that.
on that. Let's see what
Well
next one
said.
here. How can small business owners get started without feeling overwhelmed?
So in terms of getting started, I'm assuming, like
The
getting their.
opportunity. Let's talk about the opportunity. If I'm a small
Okay.
business owner, and so I already got my stuff going on here, can I get started, doing that and not feeling overwhelmed? Let's look at it from
Okay.
opportunity as well as
Opportunity
just
side.
planning. Hmm.
So off the opportunity side, I would say, okay, well, you already have a small business. You have the mindset of being a business owner. Do most business owners have multiple streams of income? Elon Musk, how many businesses does he have? And he's
None.
still able to do it, right? And he's going to get more businesses, right? He's never
Yeah.
going to stop. So the way I see it is like, okay, you're running a small business. Now, what are you offering, things that are tangible or intangible? Most likely you're having a product-based business where you have an actual product. Now, if I were to show you a way where you have a business that is based on services, so you don't have to buy product, you don't have to ship anything across the world, it's going to be something based on a service, and you're able to make unlimited income. So there's no limit on how much income you can make. It can be as much as your heart desires. You can make unlimited income. All you need is a license and a software, and you're able to make money all across the United States. There's no limit on where you can help families. You're going to help someone protect their legacy, help them with financial planning, help them with their debt. So you're providing a service that people need. And as we talked about earlier, it's in high demand. There's about 50% of people that don't have insurance, that are not properly insured. They're not educated on it. And there's, out of one person that's an agent, there's about 300 people you can help. So imagine how many families you can help. And you already have a small business. Why not have something where you can do it on your own time when you're not working on your business? You can help a couple families. And then guess what? That's going to fund your small business. So it works out. It's a win-win. Now, in terms of how can a small business get started in terms of getting a policy, to protect their business, it's very simple. It's just talking to an expert, looking at your budget, how much is your business worth, and how much do you want to protect your business? Protect the income. How much income are you making in your business that you want to protect? So maybe you do have a business partner. If something were to happen to you, you wouldn't want your business partner to take on that toll. So how much is your business truly worth, and how much would you want to leave behind, so that if something were to happen, your business can still be ongoing and it can still grow, even if you're not in the picture.
Right. Well said.
All right, we'll go to the next one. Got a couple more, and then we'll wrap it up. Can
All right.
planning help protect wealth across generations?
Oh, 100%. We did answer that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I'll let Dante take care of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So if everybody in the family, speaking about, mom and dad, for example, them just getting a IUL, both of them, each on each other, and let's just say they have they have the kids being the beneficiary. Not only, once, dad, let's just say he was the one that passed away, that money's being passed on to mom, right? So that's already, let's just say if he had 500,000 in the death beneficiary, right? That's being passed on down to mom. When mom passes away, she passes down that death benefit down to the kids instantly. And let's just say mom had $500,000 too. Instantly, that family already has a million just off of those two alone. That's being passed down from the kids. The kids, over time, the parents are smart enough to educate them, right? That's all about education, like I was mentioning before. Them educating the kid while they were alive. Hey, this is how we're able to acquire this. Obviously we worked hard for a living, but we had policies, and that's what accumulated this generational wealth. That kid knowing that, passing that down to his kids, and so on and so forth. That's the true definition of how generational wealth is created from stuff like that. You hear stuff like that all the time from even the Rockefellers. It's from the test of times. Generational wealth has always been accumulated through stuff like when they talk about life insurance and the family putting that money into a third party, usually being a trust. But in our policies, even in like an IUL policy, the beneficiary accesses his own trust in-house internally through the policy already, you know. So having that beneficiary, having that money and investing into yourself is how you acquire that generational wealth over time. A lot of people think like, you have to, working for, a job for 30, 40 years, and one day retiring, and then your retirement, that 401k is a generational wealth. Well, no, it's not, because, healthcare, medical care, you're running through that money. A lot of times people retire and they have to come back to work. So all that money that they worked 30, 40 years for, that's gone, that they already drained up. So now what, So they have to live off of Social Security. A lot of senior citizens are doing that. And Social Security may not even be around in the next 10 years. So then what? So that's, there's
and plus,
that.
Social Security is not a retirement plan. It's just,
it never was meant to be.
You can add on to what
right.
you already have.
And the Social Security was never meant to be a retirement fund for people to live off of, but that's the common norm that we see nowadays with people. So absolutely.
They another stat I had was 70% of generational wealth is lost by the second generation and 90% by the third. And it's about just, kind of bad planning as you're moving on. The succession, like the TV show. I mean, you got to plan for it and let the kids know. I mean, so the planning has to do with the whole family.
Right.
100%.
All right. We got a last question here. How important is having a team versus doing it alone?
Oh, I like that question. So I'll answer it with this question. If you were able to help out 100 families this month on your own, would you be able to do it? Probably not, right? Most likely, maybe you can, but you just won't sleep and it will be really hard, right? So that's ensuring 100 families. Now, what if you had a team of 10 people that you've recruited into this industry, you've trained them, you've developed them, and you've educated them and trained them, and they know how to do it on their own, they're independent. Now, they can still come to you for guidance, but they can do an application illustration on their own and help out families. Let's say 10 of them, and they all help out 10 families that month. That's 100 families. Now, is that doable? Yes. Much more doable than you doing it on your own. So are you going to impact more people on your own, or is it going to be building a team and educating a lot of people how to do it so that they can go out there and find those people as well? Because us alone, we're not going to, like, if we didn't have a team, how would we know the people that they know? It's the people that they know that need like the education. But if we would have never recruited them, we never would have helped them get educated in this field, then we wouldn't have insured their families, their uncles, their aunts, because we don't know them. Instead, we're going to have to go out there and find people that need insurance, or also the best way to do it is find people who want an opportunity. And guess what? They're going to also insure people in their family, in their circle, in their sphere, right? In their social sphere. So it's much more it's more important to do it as a team, because you have the team effort. You have people that are looking for an opportunity already. So why would we do it alone?
Right. Right. And like you said, Don, I know you said the stat about 50% of people being insured in this country. So imagine, like Val said, the more team that you have, the bigger impact you could have on this country. Imagine if there was only one police force for the whole entire country to protect, serve, protect. It would be Armageddon. We would be screwed.
Man.
So and just imagine.
And police officers recruit.
Right. They even recruit. They know it. You need more people. You need to have more impact than helping out and serving and protecting. Same thing when it comes to the business aspect. If you're just one person and you're going out there trying to, get clients, trying to help people, it's gonna feel like another job. It's not gonna be fun. You're gonna be miserable trying to, building, like I said, following systems and bringing other entrepreneurs on who see the value in helping people and insuring people. You now have a system, right, that you can be able to duplicate and help people. It not only gives you the peace of mind as a trainer, as a leader, but you're now helping other leaders go out and have an impact we don't want employees. We don't want people working for us. We're trying to build and develop people to be leaders in their community and to their families and to their and to their space, so that they can go out there and make a difference. Because if everybody was just just worrying about the one person, you just worrying about, oh, I don't want a team because I'm just gonna where I want to keep all the commission for myself, and then I gotta worry about you're being selfish and you're not leaving an impact and helping people out in that way. You'll be helping out more people with a team and impacting the country more than doing with a team and doing it by yourself.
Facts. You made me think of Purge, the movie.
Right,
It'd be real life Purge, like dang.
Like one police force for the whole entire country.
Man, good luck. Good luck. No, this was great. Once again, hey, as we wrap this up, I really appreciate husband and wife team. You guys are doing some phenomenal things in Florida. And I'm licensed in Florida, and that's why I thought it was a no-brainer to have you guys on. You guys knocked it out the park, answered all these questions. Appreciate the audience for listening and tuning in. From once again, I want to grab your contact information.
Absolutely. So our business phone number, which you can call and text, is 786-340-5032. Now that's the business contact information. Our Instagrams is at Valeria Woodard Strategist. So that's VALERIA Woodard, WOODARD Strategist. And that's mine. And then on Dante's is DONWOODZ _. So Don Woods _ On there, we're gonna have also a link tree, so it'll have a lot of great information. If you wanna see if you qualify for debt settlement, we have a link for that. The Mediator Debt Solution link. You get a free consultation. You also can see our website. You can see our LinkedIn profile.
Facebook. We're on LinkedIn as well. Yeah,
we have all that good stuff in there if you want to get to know us a little bit more, and follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of fun stuff on there. So a lot of educational videos, funny videos, and kind of what we're doing with the community as well. So love to connect with you.
That's awesome. I mean, we're in the era of edutainment anyway, so it's all about education with a little bit of entertainment mixed in. And like I said, I really appreciate you guys coming on. To the audience, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Facebook, definitely go to my YouTube channel, Epic Spotlight, and check out the most recent podcast interview with Aaron McNair. Really a business coach with a business mindset, really encouraging people to grow. Definitely had a great conversation with him. And if you need to watch this again, it is available on Epic Spotlight. I'm going to send you guys the link as well, so you guys have your own copy. They're going to post it on their platforms as well. So definitely tell others that didn't have a chance, they're at lunch or they couldn't make it today. This was a good one. This was a really good one right here for knowledge on how to protect your family and how to build a business. So definitely, guys, I want you to have an epic day. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Dante,
much.
I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, man, you got my name, so you got to represent down there.
I got you.
Right. Everybody make sure you get some mortgage expertise from my guy, Dante.
Appreciate that. 708-905-5300. If you need me, just call me.
Hit my guy.
That's right. Have a great one, y'all. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Peace, guys.